All right, YouTube, welcome back to another fun Silver Saturday. As we were discussing yesterday, let's get this fitted in here. So, I'm going to talk about our most recent trip to the LCS, little story there, and then we'll get into what we were talking about yesterday with the current prices, the pricing, and you, and the plan, your plan, our plan, the plan. Really simple trip into the LCS. Picking up our Franklins. We're going to finish off a roll here, and I think this is going to be our final. I think I got one. I think I'll have two more after these. This is going to be our final roll after we get our Franklins in here. Our final roll of Franklins. So accomplish that. And we got 3 generics just to work on this tube. This tube will be filled. And after that, I'm going to focus on 10 ounces. We're going to focus on bars to get to our goal, which is coming up pretty quick. And then it'll be onward and upward. And like I said in that last video, reevaluating, not our last video, but I don't know. It's been a few videos back discussing about looking towards gold. Things have changed a lot since then. But at the LCS, prices are up. Case wasn't empty. Some folks were in there selling some stuff. Had a pretty sizable stack they were selling. I shouldn't say stack. They were selling a collection. It was pretty apparent, at least in my observation. I mean, my observation could be wrong, You make assumptions at a certain point and you're wrong. But I was looking at it, and from what I could tell, they probably had inherited a collection of some sort, and they were selling. Who knows how long they'd had it. They knew a little bit about it, but they weren't like super aware of what they had. So it sounded like they had inherited something or got it from somebody. Then, and however that works when you get something from somebody else. So they did a lot of collectible pieces, a lot of coins, a lot of world coins, stuff like that. Not a lot of bullion, so that's why I say that. But that was interesting. He was going through and pricing everything for him. The guy that works there at the LCS, and just doing his thing, and I just kind of hanging out, waiting, picking up my Franklins, and then I got so that tube is filled. So I didn't get to talk a whole lot, but it did. There was some conversation to be had. There's a whole group of people there when I first got there, and didn't even get to start my my order. So it was rather busy. But some people that walked out were buying, and that one group was selling. So, but there was plenty of variety. It seemed like. I didn't get into much else. You would expect things to slow down a little bit the way the prices are. And so with the way the prices are, put that away. The way with the prices are, what do you do if you've been stacking a while? If you started stacking in 2018 time frame, you are way up. You were like, you're doing your savings, your investment, if you will, to put it in those terms, you're up about 50%. And in common parlance, the common thought process on investments is you're going to take profits and do something with it, right? And I don't blame people if they do something like that. I would just caution people of what you really have with your stack. This is a savings put away to lock up purchasing power, right? So I wouldn't trade in your savings for something frivolous. It would need to be a real necessity, I think. if you see something that you can move into, maybe I'm trying to think because I'm not really in that mode of mindset right now. It's like we're riding and dying right now, right? We're not slowing down. But I get it if people do want to sell some, take some profit, move it around. If you had something you really needed to do, like get a new roof, that's a pretty big ticket item. Hard to eat that. But if you had some in your savings and you got that profit or that gain in there from saving up these for 5, 6 years, um, I could understand using that. And that's kind of what it's there for too. If you haven't, it's hard to save the money for some of those things. If you had the opportunity, and the thing is so many things have just increased in price, just like this stuff has. So it's not like you're getting up on the system. It's not like where an exchange rate has increased using silver versus using dollars, because um, really what you're seeing as the prices here go up is the value of these guys is just going down. That's all that is the prices on everything that you see. When it costs more to pay for your gas, to heat your house, um, to do those things, it's because these kinds are just losing value, right? So it's not like by saving this for the last 6, 7 years, whatever it might be for you, that you're going to go buy that prepper thing you needed, which, you're going to make let's say you're going to build your underground a fallout shelter. Let's put something big out there, right? Something you see as a necessity, especially the times that we're in, right? And you want to be like Praxis Prepper and build yourself an underground bunker. He's obviously he was able to save a lot of money by doing it himself, but if you had to pay somebody else to do it, you're definitely paying through the nose now compared to how you would have 10 years ago. But I guess you could use, I mean, it would be advisable to get things that you think you need immediately, to get things that are durable uh, and not expendable, I guess is what I would look at. If you were thinking about cashing some of this stuff out, um, trading, getting some of those profits out, as they would say, and redirect them to something that you really think you need for the coming struggle, as other people would say. Um, it makes sense if I definitely wouldn't recommend getting rid of all of this, all your shiny stuff, right? That would just seem insane with the way things are going and the potential that's still locked up in here, the potential to outlast this, because this is just continuing to lower and lower. As is it Peter Schiff or Mike Maloney on the Twitter has been documenting, you know, the dollar is $1 is now 1/27th of an ounce of silver. Uh, it's like that's the real deal. That's the real issue, is that the dollar is losing its value against other things, like the cocoa, like the oil, like everything that may seem volatile and everything's measured in it, but this is the problem, not the value of other things or anything else, right? So if you wanted to cash some of this in, I would definitely hold some, keep you a base position, or look to buy in pretty quickly or something. But going out and investing in something, if you needed a gas mask, we talked about that a few months ago. Definitely a needed item, especially if you're in a more built up area, could come in handy in the coming struggle. Things like that, look for some. I wouldn't really put it towards storable food, because there's other ways to do that without really cashing in. I think things like this, if you had something like, if you had some water storage system, I wouldn't really get garden plants with it. If you're going to make a big garden, I would find some other way. But if you were putting in an irrigation system, like that kind of makes sense. With any profits you took from here, like I can get some of those things if you don't have it. Like if you you're getting started on something like that, and you've been saving this up, like take those profits, put them towards something to be useful, to be prosperous, to get out there and do the things. I can understand that, especially if you don't have a situation to where it's hard to something. It's just been hard to save up, and this is your savings. And I wouldn't fault people for that. And I always try to remember that when I go in the LCS, like there's people with different circumstances, different reasonings. You can't really judge people when they are there selling, or they're there buying, right? They're buying to saving up. Um, so that's just some thoughts on that. I get it if people are taking profits on this, but I definitely would not sell your whole stack. That just does not compute or right now, um, unless you're leaving the country or something and you needed to do something. Like if you had to, that's you're throwing away your. No, I wouldn't say throwing away, but if you're cashing out your life savings, you definitely need to go towards something huge, right? And a big move in a big way, and something that cleans you out and starts you at baseline, and you can only go up from there. Like whether it's your productivity with, you're finalizing a big homestead, and this is how you're going to get it, and you're doing that now because prices went up enough to um, get you that homestead and then the land and the house and everything, and you're cashing in all your savings with your silver and gold or whatever else. And this is your chance, right? I get, okay, that'd be a really strange circumstance, and go for it, right? But just sitting on the sideline and you're sitting there and like, oh man, prices are up, I should take profits, because that's what people do in their investments. That's their mindset. I would caution against that. Like, just don't throw it away at frivolous things. Like, don't do like Dad on YouTube and go on vacation. He does. I'm just joking with him. I know he doesn't go on vacation with his savings, but he does save up for them, right, or whatever. Um, but just don't throw away something that's going to be gone tomorrow. You know, something just that trip to Disneyland or something that just seems. I mean, you can't replace memories, but not with your life savings. Not with something you've got back that is going to get you through the tough times and the coming struggle ahead. And that's why you got it in the first place, right? But taking a little bit to really fortify your position, in whatever the case that might be, with everything from some type of storage project to a building project to something that I'm not thinking of. That would, I guess I get it. And more power to you. But I don't know. With that being said, the prices right now, I don't see them going down because people aren't taking profits, really. Not, I don't think, it's so hard to tell, especially the silver market, because so much of it is wrapped into uh, paper markets. It's not really in the physical market. People aren't putting aside this, they're putting away numbers on a computer screen. It's not people, it's organizations, big banks, mutual funds, trust funds, hedge funds, all the other funds. If they're putting anything into this because they see it start to spike, it's all on the paper side. The only people doing this, and we're not seeing a shortage in this necessarily right now, but the price is going up for sure. But how you know that the stuff that is in hand is getting rare or getting a slow supply is when that paper price on the computer screen or at Kitco in the commodity market is at a certain point, and that spread at your LCS gets higher and higher. The spread between those two prices goes wider and wider. It's because this stuff is starting to get actual in your hand stuff from your LCS, from online bullion dealers. As that spread opens up, that's how you know the physical stuff is starting to get rare. So we've encountered that a couple times for various reasons. That spread opening up, and because like when it went down to 12 back in 2021, you couldn't get this for 12. That wasn't happening. The spread opened up to account for that because it didn't make physical sense. But the traders, and I said this a while back, the price on the computer could go to zero, but the price to get it in your hand will never be zero. That's not practical, right? There's nobody that's going to sell at that price. So the floor for putting it in your hand, I think, goes up and up continuously. They talk about the floor and the price on the market when they see the chart patterns, and they'll say, well, this is a new floor, whether it's 22 or 24 or now 26. and they'll say this is a new floor for the price because so many people bought in there. That's their minimum cost basis, right? Well, in the physical world, uh, that does the same thing. There's people that have, I'm not. So many people have been holding this for so long. They're like, I'm not selling this until they hand it to their inheritance to their grandchildren or whatever. There's a lot of people that are in that position, that are in that mindset. Unless it's a catastrophic emergency, they're not selling this. And that gets to kind of my next point is somebody talked about how they've been talking about gold confiscation the last couple of weeks, a couple of videos, a couple of channels. It kind of got some discussion, around the community or whatever you want to call it. How are they going to confiscate gold, in particular gold, because it's the big kahuna competition with this guy right here, right? That's who really puts this into the grave. What's going to put this in the grave, and that's why they have to go to a new digital. But the way they're going to get this out of people's hands, gold or silver or platinum or any useful store of value, anything you can think of, is inflation. The inflation they put behind this stuff is getting this out of people's hands because they have to live, they have to eat. That's what's going to get this out of people's hands. It's going to cause so much inflation that people are going to have to sell to survive. They're not going to be able to sell it to take advantage of home prices or the exchange rate between gold and silver, or the exchange rate between, silver, gold to any other commodity or anything else that you can see out there, land or something, which would be a great way to save up for land, and especially in the old days. But they're going to try to eliminate that. I think that's the real angle on confiscation, is the inflationary environment causing people not to be able to hold on to this long enough to benefit in any of those ways, and having to just survive with the basics, keeping your heat on, keeping the food on the table, keeping the lights on, whatever, keeping gas in the car to go to work. That's how they're going to get this physical stuff out of people's hands. That's the only form of confiscation I see. It might be sooner than we think, because with the digital stuff and the way they're going to be able to control it, we'll see. The question is, how do they get this out? How does it effectively get out of people's hands, but still get back to the banks? How do the banks take control of it? And then, silver obviously can go into industrial use, and they'll have the ways to put it into industry, because they'll have the leverage of the banks on their side. The industry has the leverage of the banks to, get the loans, to get the stuff that gives them the materials to make the things they make. So they'll be able to take this and melt it down and to do whatever with it. Gold, on the other hand, is it just doing anything other than going to the central banks? Few uses of a couple other places. Or alternate theory, I guess, could be that is that going to stay there? Yeah. Alternative theory, the price of this stuff goes up so much that it makes it cost effective to mine the bottom of the ocean, to go to an asteroid and pull other minerals off of it. I guess that's the next step, right? This stuff is so valuable, and people hold on to it for so long and hold out because they're not going to put it back in the market, that they makes it cost effective because of the inflationary nature of the digital world or whatever. Just some thoughts there of what I think about when people talk about the different subjects and the current environment. As Salivate Metal did a question back in December what prices were going to be like, and I thought they would touch 30 this year, and I thought they would kind of retreat back to the 28 level before the end of the year, so some point in here. So that's definitely on the table for sure, especially when you see how it 10% move in the last 3 weeks, if even that long. It didn't take it that long, I don't think, since we've done this video. When you get moves like that, $30 is just easy. It's like you can't even, the price of gold just, I think, shocked everybody. And we're witnessing history. And again, it goes back to, that's just the value of this going down. It's not like there's anything special going on in the gold market. It's not like there's anything amazing going on in the world. It's not like some gold mine collapsed and that gold supply in a African country is done, or Mexico has stopped manufacturing or refining silver, or something to really have a big impact. When you talk about supply side and commodities, that's not going on. It's this stuff right here. It's a $1 trillion of debt every 100 days, and that's going up. We're probably at 100, 90 days, $1 trillion in debt. That's what is driving this, and it's not changing. And if that's not changing, this is going to continue to shoot up. And it's going to be, this is not 1980. And I think the big thing is when they go to transition out of this, how do they reevaluate this stuff? And if it's like the other times when they revalue the dollars, this is going to come in at still a higher value. When you look at 1971, 1964, 1913, 1933, all those times were basically, it was a new dollar. We don't think about it like that because the face of it looked the same, but the way it was managed, the what was behind it, the real value of it changed every single time along that process. And that's why these things, every time, the gold price is really the key to look at that. You look at the gold price moves after that, and it's just clear as day to me how basically you were in a whole new system each time those things happened. And that's the next big step, and that's the next big revaluation of the physical stuff when we go to digital. And then a whole new dollar, and it'll be an obvious new system, but one that everybody will beg for and be thankful for because things will be so catastrophically bad. We were talking about the 70s and the cocoa price the last time it happened there in the 70s, and we're following that same trend, but just the whole difference in the market once they go digital, and how that digital market's going to be controlled by the central bank. Your value, whether or not you can eat, what you can do with your money, totally controlled. Maybe not at first, but eventually it's going to be all yes, no, sir. Oh, you're a bad little citizen stuff. We're there. Don't let the cognitive dissonance hit you. Keep brushing it off. Keep dealing with reality as reality. So don't absorb too much of the conspiracy theory. Don't take everything I say at face value, for sure. But it does seem to be imminent and apparent in my eye. We're still heading that train, and just the way it's happening is not as severe. People aren't revolting. People aren't acting out against the system, other than walking their dollars into gold and silver. That's the most biggest indicator. most biggest. That's my second grade English there for you. That's the biggest indicator, is things like that, just to the moon. Literally. $300, what's that, 15% in gold in the last month? That's huge. That's a big move for no other reason than the $1 trillion in debt. That's unsustainable. So the banks, the government is trying to clear the decks of something. They're trying to find a way to wash everything out before they transition to that new system. And they're trying to just eat up as much consumption as they can, to however they can position themselves. They're the ones that see on their end a lot differently than we do. That's for sure. So that's a long-winded version of the LCS story, but I really wanted to get ahead of it and just, I understand if people are selling and you got something to do with it, but know that there's other times coming. And it, as the meme says, the meme's got, if you've seen them, you've probably seen it. It's got the guy in in like 1970s BMP or something like that. It's an Eastern Bloc country vehicle, armored vehicle, turned around looking back. It's like, I know things look bad right now, friend, but they're going to get a lot worse. So you got to pray hard. You got to do the things. You just don't know what's coming around the corner, but do prepare for it, and prepare for the best. Pray for the best. Pray for the worst. Hope for the best. Is that the good way to say it? just continue to prep hard, live free.